Hi everyone, this is Sharon. Welcome to my channel. Today I have a flip through of my latest journal. This is a journal that I made for a swap with my dear friend Leslie. And when I think of Leslie, I think of a lady in pale pink. And so that's kind of the look I went for, very feminine. I know she loves pink, and so I tried to put things in that I think she would enjoy. The tie that I have on the cover of this journal is this really pale, soft pink velvet ribbon. And I also added this buckle to go along with it. It's a silk velvet, so it's fairly thin. So what I did was I actually wrapped it around twice. And then I chose this beautiful cover with this lady who's in various shades of pink. It's called The Daughter of Anderson Crow. And what I did was just add a little bit of lace around the spine and then to the back. And then going inside, for the inside covers, I chose a couple of images from Ruby and Pearl's The Flower Sellers, I believe it's called. As I usually do, I will link some of the major digital kits that I've used in this journal down in my description. So I've got one on the front cover, and I've also got one on the back cover, and I just love that kit, and I love those images. I did this on one other journal as well, and I just love the look of it, especially for something that's very feminine and sweet. So for my journal pages in this journal, I used a kit. It's called Romantic Spring from Dust to Roses, and most of the digital pages are from that kit. And then, of course, I mixed those with a bunch of other antique and vintage book pages and other things as well. So for my spine, I use this pretty, it's an old French antique fabric, and I just thought that went well with some of the images. On this first page, I've got this old Dresden piece. I think it kind of reminds me of Valentine's Day, so I put that on there. And then on this page, I did some stenciling with paste at the top. And over here, I've got a flip, and you could do some writing under there. Both of these pages are from a vintage French embroidery book. And then I brought that up and over on this page and did some punching across the top just to form a little tuck. And in there, I have this journaling card, and I just attached this picture, which I absolutely love, of this bride. And then got this, and then I've just got a little tuck here, and I put a little piece of doily in there and did some stenciling on the back. A little bit of collage on the top of this page. And then these are actual original book pages from this book. So I've got the title page, this pretty illustration, and then some other book pages as well. On this side, I've clipped a couple of things. I printed this pretty image. It's like a tapestry image onto lacquer paper, and it gives it a really kind of like a fabric feel. I've got this tag as well in there, William Morris image, which I love. And this is also one of the book pages. On this side of the page, I took an envelope, a seed packet envelope, and I just did some collaging on there, added some fabric. I've got a wax seal on there, some washi tape, this image of this lady, which I love too. And then in there, I've got a little rusty paper clip that I used on the top of these two sheets. Here, I've got this image of the chandelier and a little bit of lace on the bottom, and that forms a pocket. And in there, I created this journal card from this lace image and just added a little bit of fabric to the top. And then I also inserted this antique piece from 1887, and that is in French. And then here's another page from that French embroidery book. And throughout, I've used quite a bit of the Amity Bloom washi tape, which I think is just always so pretty and feminine. And then on this page, I've got a corner pocket with this embroidery image. I did some machine stitching on there. And then in there, I created this journaling card. I love this. It's actually like a trifold. I love this image, wallpaper image. And then I just line the inside of that with some shorthand. This is like an original shorthand notebook piece. And then I've also got from that same shorthand book from 1947, just a couple of the book pages. And then I also have this postcard that I got in a packet from Rachel at Roxy Creations. I thought those went well in that pocket. On these, a lot of these pages are collaged from that Romantic Spring Kit. So I love those as they are, and a lot of times I just add just a little bit of embellishment. Like here I put this little metallic looking punched piece on there. This is from a butterfly book that I have. And then here is a French notebook page. And on there I clipped this little card. I just did some embossing on there. Here I folded the page over, took some cheesecloth and did some machine stitching on there. And then that flips out. And then in there I've got this vintage telegram, and it's congratulating Mr. and Mrs. Epstein on the birth of their baby boy. And I believe this one is from 1962. On this page, I printed this page twice, and the second page I cut this piece out and then just kind of crinkled it up a little bit and aged it, and then glued that back on to the page just to give it a little bit of texture and dimension. And then I added this little piece of linen in the corner. It's kind of an extra label. Here I created a corner tuck with this piece of waxed paper, so it's a little translucent. You can see through that. Added a label on there, and then in there I put this German postcard, and then I just added a little tuck on the back. This is a 1700s French book page, and I just did a little bit of stenciling on the top with some paste. In the center of the signature, the book page was a little bit too large, so I folded it over and then I just punched the edge to give it a decorative effect on there. And then in the two pockets, I created a couple of smaller journaling cards that are embossed, and then they've got these pretty rose images on them. And I used some Florentine paper on the back. And then for the larger cards, I took one landscape image and cut it in half, so I've got one half on each side. And then on the backs of these, I did, again, some stenciling with paste, so this is three-dimensional on there. And then just added a little bit of stamping in the corner. Here I used this velvet red ribbon as a belly band. I just love the way that goes with the page. And then behind there, I tucked this little, I don't know what you call it. It's just, it folds over once. It's like a journaling card, but I added this little tie on the front. And then that opens up, and then you can do some writing inside. And I've got this check piece, and then this is backed with the pretty wallpaper image. Here I've got another flip out from that French book page, And in there I created this tag, this lovely lady and her roses. Yeah, I think they're roses. And then that's the back. And then I got this antique book page from a Peterson's Magazine book from 1871. It's got some pretty images in there. On this page, I took some antique lace to create a belly band on there. And then in there, I tucked this cigarette card and also an antique French letter from, let's see if we can see, it looks like 1827, so that's an old one. Here I created a top tuck with this tapestry image, and then I just kind of lined the bottom of that with some cheesecloth also to trim it up a little bit. And then I created this little booklet with this scene of a French ball. And then in there I've got some German book page, and then I lined it with this pretty wallpaper image. There's some room for writing in there. And then I tucked this little card in there. I just love this lady. On the back, I have some antique love letters from 1926. And this one starts out, "My dearest sweetheart, but a few hours ago, I received your most dear and loving letter." And I just imagine this lady kind of running out to the pasture reading a secret love letter. I just added some initials from this laundry tag or label. This is some coffee dyed paper. And then here I created a small pocket. I've added this little medal of Mary. And then I've got some images of Mary in the pocket. This one, Mary and Jesus on a prayer card. And then this one, which is a Spanish one. It's actually from scanned from an original that I have. I have it in a frame. It's probably 6 by 8. It's just beautiful. It's old and tattered, just like this looks. One of the original book pages. And then on there, I clipped, this was fun to make. It's like a sampler booklet. So what I did was take some images from an antique sampler book, and I printed those on this tracing paper. And this tracing paper is old and yellowed. It comes from a tablet that I found at a thrift store, and I just love that. And what I did was add some silk ribbon at the top and stitch all the pages together. And then I've also taken a rusty nail and just added my own fabric swatch on there. So I put one of these tracing paper sheets, then a plain piece of paper, and that allows you to see the image a little bit better, and I punched the bottoms of those. And then I've got another sampler image on tracing paper, another plain sheet, and then here I've got another fabric sample that I pinned on there, plain sheet, and then the back page is on a little bit heavier paper, cardstock, and that's the image. I just added this label on there. And then on the very back of all of it is this wallpaper image, which I love. I had to make sure I put this in somewhere. I just added a label on there. And then on the page, I've got some piano paper that I've added. On this side, I did a little bit of stenciling at the top in this pale pink color. And then in there, I tucked this antique invoice from 1909. It was for a ring mounting. In the center of this signature, I have, it's a very heavy cardstock book page from a book that I have. And it's all in Versailles, and it's just got these most beautiful images. And this one has lots of pretty pinks in it. So I added that one. And this is the back side is just plain. And then I folded this in because it was a little bit too long and added some lace. And then I had to reinforce all the folds because it does crack a little bit. In this side tuck here, I created this little faux envelope. I guess it's not faux. I think I did stitch it up all the way around. So it's an actual envelope. I've got these images of these drawings. And then I just added a little bit of decorative paper at the top for the flap. And then in there, I've got a couple of some Florentine paper and another old piece that I put in there. Here on this side of the page, I've got this vintage envelope, and I opened that up and just embellished it with a butterfly on that side. And then on this side, I've just got this, again, like a piece of tracing paper that I stapled on with some fabric at the top. And then there's place to write under there, and I did a little stenciling again. That's with ink. On the back side of that, I had this little piece clipped with the birds on there. And then on this next page, I've just got a cluster at the top with some laces and paper, doily. And then here I created a belly band, and in there I've got this pretty image of the angel holding a child. And that's the back. And then I've got an antique book page in there as well. This page I just added some old lace on there. And then I've also included some antique ledger paper. And then on this page I've clipped, let's just see if there's a date on there, almost antique. 1928, the way it looks to me. And then here's another one of those Peterson magazine book pages. I just love the images. Aren't they pretty? On this page, this full page, I did some stitching along the edge, this one and then the other side of that page as well, just to add a little bit more interest on there. And then here I've got a couple pages of some onion skin letters from the early 1900s, and I just created some pockets with those. And then in this first pocket I've got this little card. This is actually an image transfer that I just put inside that frame. Gives it an aged look. And then this image I just stitched onto a piece of, it was an old scarf, kind of like a linen-y scarf, but it was very thin. I just love the way that looks. And then in the center, I've got this botanical book page, and then on the strings, I just added a couple of French stamps. And on this side of the pocket, I had to fold this down so Leslie could see her 7, and then I just did a little bit of stitching with some French knots on there. And then in this pocket, again, I've got an image transfer that I put onto this ledger page. That's the back, and then this one. Love these ladies. On the top of this page, I added a velvet ribbon and a waxed seal. Here, I just added this little label on there. And then on this side of the page, I have this really beautiful piece of linen. It's really sheer. It's got some lace on the top and bottom. I just folded it over a few times and stitched some lace across there. And then I added it to the page with some string at the top. And that flips up so you could either enjoy the ledger paper underneath or do some writing on there. Here I did some stenciling with acrylic paint rather than paste. Just gives it a different look. It kind of reminds me of like an old Italian fresco or something. This page is really fun. I took an old, it's a maid's collar, which I didn't realize when I first started using it. But I created a pocket with that, and then I added this kind of nude colored tulle that has some dots on there, and I just adhered a button on this end and kind of tacked down this side with a hat pin. And then in that pocket I've got this ledger sheet from 1905, and then I've got this journaling card, some writing room on the back. And in here, I tucked a little story about that collar. So as I was working with it, I realized that there were some labels on the back, and it said, "Third maid at the residence of Mrs. Kyle at 1830 Rittenhouse Square in Philadelphia." And so I included a couple photos of that residence. It looks pretty regal and beautiful. And I just thought that was kind of fun, knowing where that collar came from. Here I've got a piece of beautiful wallpaper that I received from my friend Ina at Exquisite Journal Books. Exquisite Journals. Exquisite Journal Books. Ina, what is it? I'll put it down below. She has beautiful, beautiful French pieces, ephemera that she's got in her shop, and she also makes the most wonderful exquisite journals. And I love the backing of this as much as the front because it's really heavily embossed. So it's kind of fun to feel that. And then here I've got, this is a piano roll, like the start of it, where it's got the image and the title and things like that. So I put that on the page. And then on this side, I created this journaling card and backed this image onto a piece of old book page and stamped the back. But what I did for this was I took an image, I waxed the paper, and then I crumpled it up a little bit. And then I kind of just rubbed my hand across it, and it gave it this little bit of a shiny, kind of a sheen to it. So this reminds me of like a really old, cracked, very well-worn oil painting. And I think I'll be doing that again. I just love the effect of that. On this page, I added this velvet strip that I embossed. And then that flips out. And then in there, I've got this journaling card. I've added a lace doily on the top, this monogram L on there, and some labeling on the bottom, and then the back side. And then I also have a very old piece of ephemera from 1840. Some pretty handwriting on the inside. And then on the strings of the signature, I've just got some beads at the bottom. Here I created a top tuck and punched the bottom of it a little bit. And then in there, I've got a couple of pieces. Again, here I've added some piano roll paper. I love the texture that gives. And then here I created this card with this beautiful image of the Eiffel Tower. Stenciled the back, added some pressed hydrangeas. And then I've got this piece. It's a image of an antique letter from 1896, and I just folded it up like Heather at Rose Hill Paper, and then added a little sheet of paper in there as well, but the backs could be used for writing. Here's the other side of that wallpaper piece. And then down in the corner here, I created a corner tuck with this beautiful wallpaper image I have. I just love that too. And then in there, I've got a journaling card with these beautiful ladies. And this is just a loose piece that I tacked on there. Back that with some antique ledger paper from 1886. And then that's the back of the card. And then another piece of that ledger paper. And that takes us to the back of the journal. So this will be heading off to Leslie, and I probably won't be publishing this video until after she's received it, but I hope you enjoyed that flip through, and until next time, bye-bye.